welcome back to Chapter Day. Happy Monday. It is a wet Monday on this side, but you know what? It doesn't matter, wet or dry. It is a day that God has made and has given it to us as a gift. There's nothing like the present. So I will rejoice and be glad in it, and I hope you too are rejoicing and being glad. If not, think of something good that has happened in your life or that you're looking forward to happening. Jesus' return is the big event next. Well, at least coming from heaven. On earth, God alone knows what. So, with that said, we're going to be reading 2 chapters today. Because yesterday I read chapter 24, and I didn't even look at chapter 25 and realize it's just 6 verses. So I thought I'd combine both chapters 25 and 26, which is another not long chapter. So that's what I'll be doing today. Okay, so yesterday we encountered Job again, bewailing his calamity of his physical situation, and his emotional state is really low. He's been wishing he was dead or never born. Tell me who has not from some time, at some time. And he has been making note that the wicked seem to be getting away with their wickedness. And why is he suffering this terrible calamity when he knows in his heart and mind that he is not or has not done any wickedness? So, but in the end, he said he knows that God will judge the wicked, and that whatever he's saying is not a lie, that in time people will see that his words are true. He has done no wrong as far as he knows to warrant God's judgment, if that's what it was, on him. And we know that's not what it was, okay? It was more of a test for him. Chapter 25. Then answered Bildad the Shuhite and said, Dominion and fear are with him. He maketh peace in his high places. Is there any number of his armies? And upon whom not his light arise? How then can man be justified with God? Or how can he be clean that is born of a woman? Behold, even to the moon, and it shineth not. Yea, the stars are not pure in his sight. How much less man that is a worm, and the son of man, which is a worm. So Job is, Bildad, that is one of Job's friends, he is saying, even the celestial things are of no perfection in God's eyes. He sees them as imperfect. How much more human beings who are not as highly esteemed, as far as we know, or we think, we are just as a worm. A man is no more than a worm. I think Solomon described it, we're like grass. We are here today and tomorrow we die and wither away. Doesn't sound too good. Doesn't make us sound too valuable, does it? Okay, so that's the end of Job chapter 25. So I'm going to go right into Job 26. So now Job is speaking, okay? He's answering Bildad. But Job answered and said, How hast thou held him that is without power? How savest thou the arm that hath no strength? How hast thou counseled him that hath no wisdom? And how hast thou plentifully declared the thing as it is? To whom hast thou uttered words, and whose spirit came from thee? Dead things are formed from under the waters, and the inhabitants thereof. Hell is naked before him, and destruction hath no covering. He stretcheth out the north over the empty place, and hangeth the earth upon nothing. He bindeth up the waters in his thick clouds, and the cloud is not rent under them. He holdeth back the face of his throne, and spreadeth his cloud upon it. He hath compassed the waters with bounds, until the day and night come to an end. Whew, okay, so what Job is saying here, I guess in answer to what his friend just said, is how can we help God? We cannot, we have no strength to help God. He's asking his friend, to whom have you spoken those words? Dead things are formed from under the waters. Hell is naked before him. I mean, honestly, what you have said there is nothing new. God knows these things and he knows these things. So nothing that was said is really of any value. In my understanding, I believe that's what Job has responded. Verse 11, the pillars of heaven tremble and are astonished at his reproof. He divided the sea with his power, and by his understanding he smiteth through the proud. By his spirit he has garnished the heavens. His hand has formed the crooked serpent. Lo, these are parts of his ways, but how little a portion is heard of him. But the thunder of his power, who can understand? So what Job is doing is just stating all of the greatness of God that we don't understand, how he divides the waters, how he brings down the proud, how his spirit has garnished the heavens, how he has formed the living things on the earth, the thunder of his power, who can understand? So again, they are both kind of making known God's majesty and trying to come to terms that we can't understand everything that God does or that happens to us, and that's the truth. Sometimes it's just to say God knows best and God is in control. And I know we always like to be able to put an explanation, and I have heard preachers sometimes even give explanations to questions to which no one can really answer but God. And I've heard them answering, and I don't think that's right. And I say to myself, are you God's second-hand man or something? Where did you get that answer? Sometimes we just have to leave it down to the point that he is God, and if we try to explain everything God does, we are putting ourselves in the place of God, and we know what that's called. That's not a good thing. So we too have to be so careful. Every time we try to explain away something that God has done, we don't always know what it is, why it is, how it is. We just have to leave it that it is from God. And if God allows it, we're going to have to just work along with God. Let God work it through. It's out of our hands. So many things are out of our hands, but we like to pretend we can explain everything God does. Sometimes, some of us. I've heard some preachers who think everything that's asked of them they have an answer for, and that's not true. Jesus had said, you know what? No man knows the day or the hour. When his disciples asked him, when will the end be? He said, no man knows the day nor the hour but God. So anybody trying to explain or say they have a date, please don't listen to that nonsense. And many people will be deceived, because we're going to start running to and fro when we hear people are, claiming to be Christ are coming. Please read your Bible. No man knows the day or the hour. And Jesus said, not even him, when he was on earth. So, do you? I don't think so. All right, that's the end of Job chapters 25 and 26 for today. Thank you all for listening and following on. We have a number of chapters left, maybe about 11 or so, and then we will have finished the book of Job. It's just a lot of making statements about God and things like that. Trying to come to terms with what's happening with Job. Okay, so until our next reading, remember, keep on listening. That's how our faith comes and grows. Take care. Bye.